Beats by Low and Twerking Speed.
Hello everyone, we're back. Here's the thing, back with another episode. We're at episode 3. We got a real strong topic to talk about today. But I want to introduce my fabulous co-host right next to me. It's my boy Nick.
Hey!
And then my girl Nat.
Hello there.
And I'm your boy Rome. But today we got a strong topic, so we're going to get right to it. We are talking about the feminization of the black man and different things that come around with that. So, yeah, let's get to it. So I got a question for you guys. So, I kind of more of a statement. So, my perspective says black men are under attack. That's deep. So
Yeah, I was like, you can't leave it there, girl.
So black men are under attack. So when I talk about under attack, it includes the feminization, right? So to me, I think it's a systematic type situation. So when I say black men are under attack, we're talking about also certain situations like the criminal justice reform situation, the school to jail pipeline. We're talking about the crack epidemic. We're talking about so we can go even further back to slavery, which I will make some points on with that. And I think that feminization is just another tool to destroy the black family. I'm always going to come from a systematic place. I mean, I just really believe that. I think that is a real serious thing. So what do you guys think about that? Is it just another tool to destroy black men and black families, or is it not a thing?
I think it is a thing. I think it is a thing. I think it's a thing because I feel like the black man is the focal strong point of the black family. If you take him out the black family, it definitely messes up the whole function of the family and how things go. So when you're talking about, making men role more obsolete, where they have no role and they have no place, then, it leads the woman to become more like the man role, and the men to kind of become more, not really the woman role, but just don't have a place at all. So I think that's part of it, is to kick the man out and, make it where he has a place more in the family, in the world, this everything, So I definitely see us being systematic. I agree.
Absolutely.
Well, of course, I always have a difference of opinion usually. I think that certainly when we talk about slavery, when we talk about buck breaking, when we talk about, sex farms and things of that nature, emasculating the man in front of his woman and his children, those are all real things. When we talk about Jamie Foxx on In Living Color as Wanda, and that perpetuating this gay agenda or feminization in present day, that to me is not as much a thing. I think that comedians just historically, white, black, just comedians in general have done that, have dressed up as women. Fashion changes. So to see Cam Newton wearing some of his crazy outlandish fashions, I think that are black men being effeminized? I don't know if that's true in present day. And if it is, how so?
Okay, well, that's a good question. Well, one thing I want to do, I want to make a distinction between feminization and homosexuality.
Right.
I think they're two different topics. And I think that a lot of times they're brought together as one topic, but that's a whole different topic, because you have extremely masculine men who happen to be homosexual, and extremely straight men who have a little bit of feminine tendencies. So I don't think they're the same topic, but they are kind of going hand in hand. But I want to bring it back to, I want to bring it back to the slavery topic, right? So we're talking about, I have a couple notes here. Just taking it to Willie Lynch. I'm sure you guys are familiar with him. He wrote the book he wrote the book on lynching and how to keep a slave, how to make a slave. And one of the things that he put in his book is that for the white slave masters to emasculate the men. There's so much stuff about this. We're going to start here.
Right.
They would sodomize the men in front of the community, i.e. the women, the children. And what that created, it created so many different things. For instance, for the children, so women had to then protect their children. So the women were teaching their children to walk with their heads hanging up, to not look people in the eye, which is a form of demasculation, right? Which leads to feminization, right? So, and then even with women, I'm gonna touch on some things later on as far as role reversals. It masculated women. So what do you guys think about that, taking it back to the slavery days?
I absolutely agree. That was the point I was making about bringing up the buck breaking, in front of their women and their children, because like, to your point, once you remove that man out of the home and he's not looked at as a protector or provider or what have you, that stronghold in the family, then the women are left to pick up the pieces and do whatever is necessary to take care of their children. So I absolutely agree.
Right. Because for one thing, I don't necessarily think that, again, feminization, it equals to fashion and pop culture. I think that's a part of it, but it also comes to the family construct, right? So, for instance, I'll give an example. So let's go to your question. I want to hit on that later.
Well, I want to say something to what you said as far as like with the women and then the role reversal as well too. I think part of the agenda is the women being like these boss women. And I'm a boss woman, don't get me wrong. I'm very alpha female, I'm very boss, but I also have a husband. And I'm very submissive to my husband. I let him play his role as being the man in the household. And I think the agenda with this boss woman thing is like women come to the conclusion they don't need a man in the house and you still need a counterpart. You know what I mean? However your family dynamic is, you still need that counterpart, period. And I think that that's part of like, kicking a man out the household and giving him no place by, I'm a boss, I don't need a man, you're telling your children that as well. And everybody from generations believe that they'll have a man in the household. So I definitely think that's part of the agenda because I hear a lot of women who are successful that really sometimes don't have a man. I think it's because sometimes the boss woman role comes with, being too independent where you don't have anyone. So.
Right. I mean, I agree with that.
No, I absolutely agree. I think that for some women, and I'm not speaking from a woman's perspective at all, but I think that especially with the comments that Fantasia made recently about being submissive to your husband, and that is part of the reason why a lot of women find themselves single or not in relationships. I think that for some women, yes, that is true, but what about lesbians? Like, I don't know.
Well, I mean, I think that's a different family.
Yeah, if we're talking about
black
heterosexual man-woman constructs, I think that, yes, absolutely there needs to be some sort of check and balance, some sort of yin and yang, some sort of masculine, feminine, dominant, subservient kind of flow for it to work. Otherwise, you're just butting heads all the time.
And also with the kids, like you're teaching your daughter like the respect for a man. So when you're in a house, because I mean, let's be honest, like it's not really easy for black men right now. Like they go through their struggles. So if you're in the house around the kids, bashing him and showing that he has like no authority, no power. Now the daughters also see that. So they have no respect for the black man, and it just trickles on. So it's a whole agenda and whole with the family and setup and everything. I think needs to definitely be addressed and fixed.
I agree, and it's also, to me, it creates a shortage of black men as well. We already have a shortage of black men going to jail. We have a shortage of black men who are strung out. We have a shortage of black men who may be homosexual. So I think for a women's perspective, and I'm not a woman either, but I can see how that can cause problems. And also I think that that whole slavery thing, not to go right back, but it trickles down even into today, because now the government plays the role of the master. You know what I'm saying? So black women, when there's no man at home, they tend to serve their masters, i.e. programs. I.e. we talked about programs before. Different social economic situations that make the black woman depend on the master, which the master now is the government. Does that make sense? And then it puts the man, when there is a man sometimes, it puts the man in a position that almost, this is another level of feminization. They come home, they allow the boss chick to be the boss chick, so the ladies out there working, take care of the home. And a lot of times the men are sometimes chilling and allowing that to happen, which is a role reversal, which also equals to feminization. So that's kind of a situation, you know what I mean?
That's part of my statement, so we'll get into mine. So
we can get into it right now.
Let's do it.
So I talked to a lot of black women, and I kind of asked them like what they thought the conversation, and they said that it was like a thin line between what's for women and what's for men. And now everything is so unisex.
Right.
And it's like, some things should be only for women only, and some things should be only for men only. And nowadays it's kind of like, it's too much crossing in between. A lot of women have a problem with that. And I know you said fashion isn't a part of it, but again, if I'm wearing a pocketbook and tight jeans, I don't really want my man to be wearing a pocketbook and tight jeans too. So the fashion definitely plays a role because it causes a bit of confusion. Not saying that if you're homosexual you have to wear certain clothing, but for the most part people, normally look at, someone's homosexual to wear more feminine looking clothing. So when the man who was like, not homosexual wearing that clothing, it kind of like, you can't really tell no more if the man is homosexual or is he straight. It kind of confuses, us women and even the kids too as well. Like they, it's too much mixture. I'm not saying it's like a separation between this and that, but when it comes to like manly and feminine, it needs to be like, what's for me is for me and what's for you is for you. I don't want to go in the store, we in the same department and buying the same clothing. Like, I just don't want to do that at all.
And I can receive that. I absolutely understand where you're coming from, especially having spoken out to women in that perspective. For me, I do feel like having these strict gender identity or expressions is a thing of the past almost. Like, girls don't have to have pink, boys don't have to have blue. Like, girls can play with trucks if they want to. I think I just feel like having these traditional constructs of what exactly masculinity looks like or femininity looks like is like something that is just age old and almost outdated, and just from where I'm looking at, almost becoming obsolete.
See, the only thing that I had to say with that is that I understand that times are changing, but when you're talking about the look, also comes the mindset and the role they play. So it kind of all goes hand in hand. When you no longer have to like look manly, you sometimes stop acting manly and start, doing more feminine things. Like, for example, we had the hot girl summer, okay? Oh no, it had to be a hot boy summer too. And it became a competition between the hot boys and it was just like, it's too much sometimes. It's just too much, you know what I mean?
And to that point, I really disagree with that, with what you said, because I think that there should be a level of separation. I think especially for the black families, and now we're in an age where I agree with you, where black families look different.
Right.
You have homosexuality, raising kids, lesbians, white and black, all the things.
Right.
But I still think I'm looking at it from a parent and how we're going to teach our kids, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, I get it. I don't think that's obsolete, or it shouldn't be. So I think I want my daughter to be a woman. I want, and if she chooses to do something,
she will be unless she changes her gender.
Well, I get that, but sometimes, again, we talked about before, our parents are our first teachers. So if I'm, as a man, teaching my son to shop in the women's department, then I'm not doing my part as a father, in my opinion. That's just how I feel about that. I do think it's our responsibility, and again, it's a breakdown of the black family too, and to me, that's what they want us to do. Because my position is pop culture projects certain images, right? So I know you said the comedians dressing up as women, but not a lot of them were against dressing up as women.
And they spoke out on it too.
And they spoke out on it. But like I said, pop culture projects certain images, and we are a society that visualizes things. So if our children are seeing that, and you don't have a strong parent or a strong woman teaching a daughter how to be a woman, or a strong man teaching a man how to be a son, teaching a son how to be a man, that is also contributing to the breakdown and the feminization of the children coming up, in my opinion.
I am here for all the different perspectives. Right. Do I agree? Absolutely not. Do I feel like what ends up happening, now you're buying skinny jeans in the men's department. Before, in like the early 90s, you had to go to the women's department. And that's how fashion changes, right? So now you have Lenny Kravitz and Seal wearing nail polish, Dennis Rodman. Maybe in 10, 20 years, that will be like, oh yeah, he had on black nail polish, like what's the big deal? It takes a while to trickle down to when it's the norm, but I feel like times change. Like in Egypt, everybody was wearing skirts and makeup and jewelry and, in Greek and Roman, times, everybody was wearing a dress. Everybody had on a robe or a gown or whatever. Victorian times, all the men had on wigs and makeup, and it was normal. They had stockings and chaps, and I'm just saying that this is what being a man is, that is, to me, something that is hurtful to children. It's not something that I think is helpful. I think that people try to fit into these boxes of what femininity is supposed to look like, but if you're a woman that doesn't like to wear dresses and you're told your whole life, no, this is what you're supposed to look like, this is how you're supposed to act, you're supposed to cook, you're supposed to clean, you're supposed to have this feminine role, and that is completely against what your nature is, that is destructive.
Okay, so I can agree to what you're saying, 'cause I have a daughter, and my daughter is a tomboy. She never liked dresses, doesn't like dolls, always play with boy toys.
Yeah.
And at some point I kind of like push her more towards dresses, and she rebels so much that it's like, you know what, just put your, you know, your sweatshirts or whatever the case may be. But I still want her to understand that you don't have to be cooking and cleaning, but your role as a woman's supposed to be nurturing. You have to have that certain nurture, like, you know, the way the family goes is the man normally is the provider and the protector, the woman is the nurturer, and, you know, makes sure things are straight. So I didn't understand her natural role, that when, you know, she does get married at some point, her husband, still be a boss stuff, still have your own identity, but still know your role with your children, because the children still need the mother to be that motherly person, the father to have that fatherly role as well. So it's just, everyone has a lane, and you have to also, you know, be able to stay in your lane and do what, you know, is required in your lane. And you can do other things too, but I was growing up by my grandmother, and she was down south. My grandfather, you know, they were down south. She had her, you know, she was a teacher, and, you know, he had a job as well too, but she still was home. She still made sure we had dinner, you know, she still made sure the clothes was washed, the house was clean, and she still had her role. And she was alpha female too, so you can have a balance of both and still give your children the proper, you know, I guess, the whatever you want to call it, that they need to, you know, be that male or female.
I think that too, for me, I would want my son to grow up I would want him to grow up manly. I mean, manly is not the right word. I would want him to have some masculinity to him. I want to teach him to protect his family. I want to teach him to love on his wife. I want to teach him to protect his children and all that kind of stuff. And I think sometimes we get caught up in fashion, we get caught up in mainstream, that we forget that we still have to be the part and teach the part. And I think that, again, to me, I think that's a systematic thing. We talked about pop culture and TV and all that kind of stuff, but who owns all the TV stations? Tyler Perry got one now.
Yeah, big one.
It's a big
bigger
one.
than all the other movie studios combined.
But before, to me, it's the projection. It's the projection. But what we're feeding our families, what the media is feeding our families. It's a projection. I think it's up to us as men to teach our children how to be men and how to be ladies. And
I agree.
I think that's important. You know, I think there's so many things that are already attacking us. We have to do our due diligence to counteract it.
Absolutely.
So,
I definitely agree. We need to teach him what it is to be a man, but I think that has nothing to do with what you're wearing. I think it has nothing to do with how high-pitched your voice is or whether you play sports. I think that as we're getting older, as a generation, as a society, we're realizing that masculinity and femininity is a sort of a, what am I trying to say? It's a spectrum. It's not one way or another. That's like saying somebody's 100% this or 100% that. We're not. You know, she's a very feminine lady. You're a lady, honey, right?
I have no guess in
But, you know, right now you got on tennis shoes. Like, that's a little, you know, like sometimes you might want to rock a denim shirt with some tennis shoes. Like, it's okay. And sometimes
I don't know man wear no pocketbook though. I do not.
Well, some people will say it's like a crossbody bag.
I'm sorry. I like manly men.
Yeah.
Like, I like my men to be. My husband, he's manly. You know, he's the protector. He's the provider. You know.
Yeah.
I don't want nail polish. I just want you to be the man. I don't want to be the woman.
What about female bodybuilders?
I don't like that.
I don't like that either.
Well, somebody's for everybody, and somebody loves all those
everybody. No, somebody is for everybody. But you made a point too. I wanted to kind of just touch on. We talked about the actors, the comedians that are dressing up as women.
Yeah.
We talked a little bit about it. I kind of want to delve into that a little bit because there are some who they do it for the laughs, they do it for the money.
Right.
And you have some like Dave Chappelle's. I'm not putting on no damn dress.
Well, again, because he did.
Well,
In The Princess Bride, he dressed up like a woman. Girl, very, very popular pop culture movie, and that's why when he came out against it and he said something on Oprah about it, I was like, wait, girl, you already did wear a dress.
Well, it was like this thing on YouTube where they were talking about how all the black actors will always ask to be put into like a dress or something, and that was the problem. Like, why do you keep putting us in dresses? And there are actors that did not want. I've never seen Denzel in a dress
Or Samuel L. Jackson in a dress.
You know what I mean? So it's not like they weren't going to put them in a dress. Like, it's funny to see a black man in a dress.
I think, but if you think about the ones that have it was a comedic role. It wasn't like a serious role.
But who's
Maybe
laughing?
Ving Rhames. A lot of people are laughing. The same people that like Mrs. Doubtfire, the same people that like Tootsie with Dustin Hoffman, they all laughing. Because it's been funny. I mean, this goes back to like the 20s.
I don't think that black people should laugh at that. I don't think it's a good.
I thought Mrs. Doubtfire was a great movie.
Oh yeah, I mean, Mrs. Doubtfire, yeah, but I think that there's more where the black comedians or black actors are asked more than white, in my opinion. I can think of a whole bunch of black movies that have black men dressed up as women, but only a couple only have that white man dressed up as women. So to me, that's the thing. I mean, that's what I could see, unless you.
I mean, yeah, there's been a ton.
I'm not saying
John Travolta, Jerry Lewis, Patrick Swayze, like Robin Williams, all these white men, you know. So for me, I think it's just perspective. If you feeling like all the black guys are being asked to dress up as women, I think what naturally is happening is there's not as many black roles or leading roles. And of those leading roles, to see a majority of these comedians dressing up as women makes it feel like that's the only way we can make it. And some actors are like, I'm not going to make it that way. Denzel, Samuel L. Jackson, I refuse to make it that way.
And those are the actors that a lot of younger actors aspire to be.
True.
Because of that
True.
You know what I mean? And
True.
so I think that's a testament to them that they did not have to. Not that anybody has to, but they didn't, they chose not to, and they won't. I hope not. Think about it. Did Will Smith dress up as a woman?
Is in the Genie, yeah, in Aladdin he did.
Oh, Genie a woman?
Genie was a woman.
No.
Oh.
The Genie, remember when Aladdin was coming into the city?
I didn't see any of that.
Yeah,
Okay.
He dressed up as a woman. Listen,
At the end of the day.
at the end of the day. And for me, it's not even dressing up as a woman. It's me seeing myself like a Billy Porter, to me, is a huge inspiration, especially for younger, black, more effeminate gay men who want to aspire to be an actor or a musician, and to see his story and see his life and see how he's just unapologetically himself. That to me is an inspiration, and I wish I had something like that growing up.
Okay. I don't. Listen, I'm all for black people inspiring black people in whatever way. I don't think that necessarily from the research, well, just my opinion, I don't know if that's good for black young boys as a whole spectrum. I don't know that that's a good thing. But I mean, if it's inspiring people, whatever works. So we, at the end of the day, we're black people are in a position we need all the inspiration we can get.
Yeah.
And if we're not changing the fact that people are gay, we're not changing the fact that people are feminine, even if they're not gay, or whatever the case may be. So if that's inspiring you or little young black and feminine boys, so be it. You know, but that doesn't change the problem of, I think, a systematic approach of feminizing black men to destroy the black family. I mean, I know you had something to.
I believe there's a lot of things that are to take the man down, take his role out.
Right.
A lot of things in play. I don't think it's just coincidental or just put on a dress. I think it's all agenda. It's all for a reason, because the black man is the top pyramid of the family. Like, he's the focal point of the family. Back to slavery, making him, making him seem like he has less power, taking away all his power. He has no role.
Right.
I mean, I've looked into, like, even with business, the top in businesses, Caucasian men and African American women. The black man role is like getting smaller and smaller and harder for him in this world where he has like no place. I think it's all part of the agenda.
I do too.
Put him in jail for a long time. They kick him out of jail. He's been there for a long time. Give him no job, no money. Put him in the house with a boss woman. We got to sit back and just watch her, thrive, while he just sits back and just has no place.
Right, that's a whole agenda, because you put him in jail and now he's a felon. He can't get a regular job. He can't, he can't go to.
There's no real rehabilitation. Right. He comes home and now he's doing these programs. He can't get this. He can't get that. He has to come home to a boss woman who was like, "You do this, do that." He's just sitting there with, again, no role.
And that's why I was saying that I don't think feminization is the same as being homosexual.
I don't think it's the same either, but I do feel like there is power in being who you are authentically, and I think that encouraging young men and women to be who they naturally are and not try to fit any kind of role, whether that's taking care of the home, like that, she may want to go out and work and not be at home cooking, and he may feel like, I'm a chef at heart, I want to cook. So I think that just letting people be themselves is empowering, and it won't lead to people like just letting the women work and you being home and lazy and.
But is it empowering our people?
I think it is. When you see like a Lena Waithe coming out and being herself and telling stories, and those stories being sort of universally accepted, whether they're black, whether they're gay, whether they're female, whatever, I think that that's empowering. I think that you need those stories along with the Ava DuVernays and the like. I think it's all empowering.
But we're still talking, from what I hear what you're saying, we're talking about still pop culture. I'm talking about the family. I'm talking about...
But you just said pop culture influences the family. And if you take over the media, like you were saying, who controls the media, when you put messages out there, that is influencing a whole community of people and a whole generation. So I absolutely believe that.
I mean, I believe, I agree. I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying.
Oh.
I'm saying that, yes, that's empowering. I'm saying, but I'm talking about empowering the people as a whole. I can see how different stories, yes, we have the Green Leaves, we have Lena Waithe, we have a lot of different things that can show our black excellence. Mm-hmm. But for the common person in Camden, who they may not have those same type of privileges or same type of zeal for life to go out and shoot movies, what are we doing to empower these people, our people? Because we're talking, when it comes to pop culture, we're talking about the small percentage. There's a small percentage of pop culture. I'm talking about the black people as a whole. So.
Well, I'm old school family.
Me too.
I'm old school. I was raised by my grandmother, so I'm very old school family. I think that our grandmothers, great grandmothers. I feel like the household then was so much stronger.
Yes.
I feel like everyone knew their natural role, and that's why maybe our parents. Or they had different upbringing. They have a different set of morals. Just a way of how they interact. If mom's at work all day long, who is watching these children and teaching them certain things? So it has to be a balance, and everybody has to have a role. Like, I'm not saying you have to go home and cook dinner every night, but it's just certain things that a woman teaches her daughter, and how to be a woman, how to respect yourself, and how to love yourself. And if mom is from sun up to sundown being this boss woman, the daughter is at home by herself using social media and when she's on TV to be her mother and her role and influence her in certain ways, and the boy as well too. So it has to be a balance, Like again, I'm the business doctor, and I do a YouTube show, and I do so many different things, but I still cook dinner just about every night. Right. I still do my role as the woman, and so that's my.
As long as we're encouraging values and not telling children that you have to be in your place.
No.
Having a role.
That's the thing.
Because you just have to be careful. Like, you have a role. Well,
my grandmother told me I had a role, but the way that she carried herself is the way that I learned to carry myself.
Right. And to me, that's a value.
Right.
It's not necessarily a role that you're playing. It's just a value that you
have. You just have to be mindful of the deterioration of the family. Because we talked about in the last show how in the 50s it was 57% of black households had a mother, father, married with children. Now we're around 13%. So something is going on there.
Right.
And this is what our show is about, right? So we talk about all these different issues that affect our community. Yeah. Whether you like it, I don't agree with him, you don't agree with me.
Right.
We may not like it, but it's our responsibility to be a voice for the voiceless, or even just a voice for us.
So wait, one more thing though. Even with pop culture, even like back in the day, we had more R&B music that kind of spoke about love and everything. Even the music is very influential in the family. So back in the day, we had all these love songs about men just loving a woman and respecting women and everything. And then now this music is about at this beat and it's a whole different vibe that also breaks up the dynamic of the family. And all that, so all that, it plays a role.
Oh, it absolutely has an influence.
Yeah,
music for sure.
Music, absolutely. And it's funny you said that. I was watching a documentary, not a documentary, it was a YouTube thing when I was doing my research. And they said that a while back, 70s, 80s, it was all about love. It's all about
so much love.
Pride. And now it's about,
Take that in, take that there.
So that's also a way, how are we portraying our black women?
Right.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God, that's
where the men don't respect the black women. Women don't respect the black man. This is no respect. This is no love. This is a lie.
Well, that could be a whole, that's going to be a
topic.
Yes, that's our topic.
But the effemination of black man, whether you believe it or not, it is something that is being spoken about in the community.
Definitely.
And that's why we're talking about it, because the community is talking about it. So let us know what you think. I think I don't want to go too much. Do you want to go somewhere? We can go.
There's so many things to talk about.
I got all the notes. notes. But yeah, so I mean, like I said, it's something that affects or is affecting or is being spoken about in our community. So please let us know what you think about that.
Yes, we want to hear what you have to say.
Please
Yeah.
comment.
Especially ladies, come on, I need some ladies. Talk to somebody's pocketbook.
Yeah, comment, like, subscribe, all the things. So, but thank you for that. Thank you for that, guys.
Yes.
Powerful conversation.
Absolutely.
And I hope that we get the great feedback. So when we do our recap show, we can come back with some other
Yes,
topics.
because we're going to do a recap show.
Yeah. So I only got to put to about 3 on my note card. So that recap show might turn into a whole other episode.
Right.
I'm just kidding. But thank you for that, guys. So Nick, what you got?
In other news, okay, Mr. Kanye and his West, okay, easy. So he just released Jesus is King. He's been converted to Christianity, well, back to Christianity.
Right.
I think he kind of feels like he lost his way a little bit. There was some interview he gave recently where he talked about porn addiction and sex addiction and having that like start at a very young age at 5, stumbling across a Playboy that his dad left out. And how that's kind of infiltrated his music and his sound, and now he wants to get back to, some are calling it the new revival, Jesus walks, he's getting back to that. So he started these Sunday services in Calabasas, kind of just as a self-healing mechanism. But now it's grown and grown and grown, and just recently at one of his Sunday services, like 1,000 people gave their life to Christ.
I heard that.
So, I just want to know, like, what y'all think about Mr. Kanye, honey? What you
I love
feeling about
Kanye.
it?
I am Yeezy all the way.
Yeah.
I think that anything that Kanye does is always magnified 10 times in, because we struggle with the love and hate relationship with Kanye. We love him and we hate him. I love him. I love his honesty. Everybody's transformed. Everybody, gets into religion and spirituality in a different way. So if he's at a point in his life where he wants to get himself to Christ or whatever he believes in, I'm here for it. It doesn't bother me.
Whatever floats your boat, right? I mean, listen, I think it's great. I like the old Kanye. Okay, people may hate me for this. I personally think it's a publicity situation.
What part of it?
All of it? I think Kanye is a publicity stunt all in of itself. To me. I like Kanye, but I like producer Kanye. I like, what was that one album with the teddy bear on front?
Graduate.
Yeah, college
Dropout.
Yeah, college dropout.
I loved all that, but it just seems to me that Kanye is thirsty for spotlight. Like with the MAGA situation, which is cool. Like you could be a Trump supporter, but I think he's doing things to grab attention. And to me, this is just his latest thing. Mm-hmm. And if he's into Christ, which is great for him, I'm all about people being inspired. Mm-hmm. Whatever inspires you, whatever keeps you ticking, I'm all about that. But I struggle to think it's a genuine. Mm. And that word God complex has been thrown out. He called himself Jesus.
Oh yes.
Now he's got, he's standing on stages and doing all the things, and thousands of people are giving their life to Christ. But are they giving their life to Christ, or are they giving their life to the idea of Jesus? Ooh.
Well, that's a question. I don't know exactly what it is, but what they're not doing is out in the streets popping and dropping it. So,
well, I don't know. Have you seen some of those performances? They be popping it and dropping it.
They was popping it for Jesus.
Go check it out.
So you better not listen. If you are out there and you're in these streets popping it for Jesus, you ought to stop that.
Well, you popping for everything else.
Well,
you ought to stop that though. But no,
but I think that what we just
it's controversial because
the music being an influence.
Yeah.
Like in this respect, it's at least a positive one. People are raising money and he's taking up offerings and things. I don't know exactly where the money's going, but it's probably, hopefully it's going to the community.
It's going where the
He's got a 100-person choir that flies around the country at this point, doing pop-ups in Atlanta and DC and Chicago.
I mean, I'd rather him do this and say Papa Percocet and all that stuff.
Absolutely.
That part.
So I'm okay with
100%.
that. I actually, on the way, filming, I did listen to the album.
Okay.
It wasn't as gospel as everybody made it seem. Like, if you really listen to Kanye music from day one, he always gives Jesus references all the time. Like, he always puts some type of biblical verse or something in his, like, that's just always his biggest thing.
Okay.
He's always, even just Jesus Walks.
Mm-hmm.
That was like a gospel song a little bit, the way he even had that going. So it's not like at church, he definitely has songs that reference a lot of, like, spiritual things, but it's not like so churchy. It's just him transitioning to wherever he is. I don't think Felicity Son. I think Kanye is unapologetically who he is.
Okay.
He says whatever he wants to say. With no, with no remorse to it. And that's his opinion. I feel like we all realize we all have one thing, and that's our own mind.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we're able to feel how we want to feel, say what we want to say, and
Absolutely.
be how we want to be. And he is who he is. When he said Trump don't like black, Bush. Don't
Bush,
like black people.
yeah.
He was all good. Kanye, yes. There was something to say something against, I don't like, you know what I mean? And I just think that Kanye sometimes also says things, and when he says things, it doesn't offend me because I see what he's saying behind it. I think
Right,
that sometimes people don't see what he's really trying to say because he's not really good with articulating his words. He just says stuff and you're just like, what? Like,
Right.
Yeah, sometimes
so it's taken the wrong way, but it's
Right.
more depth to what he be saying. So
He made a
I just
comment.
like Kanye, so I like Yeezys, like everything with Kanye.
I've gotten to respect him over the years.
Yeah.
I started with the College Dropout album. As soon as that came out, I was like, oh, this is the best, playing it, nonstop. The whole album's
Right.
great to me. And then when the George Bush doesn't like black people, I was like, what is he saying on the live TV?
Yeah,
Like, what is he
tell them.
doing? And then the whole Taylor Swift thing, Beyonce had one of the best albums, and I was like, what? Wait a minute, Kanye. Like, it just started to unravel, and everybody has their issues. And I think that along with him dealing with maybe some mental health issues, he needs to kind of get a little bit of attention. He made a comment on Jimmy Kimmel where he said, if a little kid, 2-year-old, is hopping up on a coffee table, we're quick to be like, what you doing? Stop, get down. He don't know nothing about coffee, he don't know nothing about the table. He just is wanting to be Superman or whatever, just jump up and down. And he says, we train our kids as they're getting older just to have a whole bunch of coffee tables in their life. They have to act a certain way, they can't do this, they can't do that. And then your job, the path that you take in life becomes this coffee table situation. Who you decide to marry, how many kids you have, like whether or not you go straight home after work, everything is a coffee table. And he just doesn't want to be told to get off the damn coffee table. I feel like that's really what it is. Like, he want to do whatever he want to do,
Right.
especially if it's against social norms.
Yeah. And one thing that you said too, Nat, and I agree with. I don't know what you said. Whoever said. I do appreciate him being unapologetically.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's for publicity or not,
Right.
he's doing it. He's doing it well. Like you said when he said that George Bush hates black people, we were all rah. We were here for him, and then he wore a MAGA hat. We were ready to crucify him. So I think that the society, we as a people, need to either stand with him or don't stand with him. But I think we just send all kind of confused messages. But I think that I agree with you. I do appreciate him being unapologetically him. I don't know about this whole God complex. I don't know about this whole Jesus thing, but that's what people do. You have black pastors that are coming out against that church, and it's a whole thing. But of course, the black pastors are coming out against the church, against
Right.
the church. Yeah,
But I mean, this is my thing. So, okay, he had his God complex. He called himself Jesus God.
Mhm.
But there are numerous rappers who, have
Right.
compared themselves to God. You got Jay-Z, he called himself Jehovah. We got Busta Rhymes, who had a song called Sleep When I'm Gone, where he referenced himself to being God. Ghostface Killer, Joe Budden, T.I., Lil Wayne. Like, they all had songs where referenced themselves to being God. But I think when Kanye does it, it's just always magnified. Just like
It's
Kanye.
Yeah.
But he magnifies it though. He changed his word, almost changed his
Jay-Z
whole
called
name.
himself Hova.
You're right,
He
you're right.
Hova.
Right.
Hova.
Yeah.
Hova.
Right, you're right. I agree with
And
that.
no one didn't
No
blink an
one
eye,
really
didn't say
decided,
one
yeah.
thing. We was calling him, it had a song, Hova.
And we were all like, Hova.
Yeah, no one never said no. I just think when it's Kanye, it's always the issue.
Yeah.
Is it an issue or is it
Because Kanye says what sometimes people are afraid to say,
Yeah.
and sometimes he also says what he feels people need to hear.
Right.
And and that's just what it is. I mean, even with the comment of us, being slaves for 100 years or whatever he said with that thing, that didn't bother
Slavery
me.
was a choice. That's what he
Well,
said.
it's a choice. It didn't
That
bother
pissed
me
a lot of
because
people
a lot of people?
what I got from that was he was saying, I think, more of a mindset thing, meaning like mentally, we are still in a mental mindset of being slaves by choice. We kill each other. We do a lot of things that are self-inflicted to our own selves, where we're in a state where we're hurting ourselves. We're still putting ourselves in a state of slavery. We haven't gotten over that mindset and moved forward as a community ourselves. So I think when he said that, it was more deeper than just saying in shackles, literally enslaved. It was more like a mental slavery. We still are mentally enslaved, and we are. We kill each other. We do so much to each other.
Yeah.
We are hurting each other so much that we are in that mindset of still being And the plantation, like, you know, everybody want to be the best for master. Everybody want to get close to master, you know. So I think when he said it, that's where he was coming from. But again, his delivery is a little bit different. Everybody understand it. So when he says things, they don't really offend me because I kind of look at the other angle, what he's saying by it.
I can understand that.
Yeah.
I can definitely understand that. I'm a Kanye fan either way. I like him.
You gonna get this album?
No.
Well, I like title, so I can listen to it anybody.
Yeah, I may scan through it.
I like the Chick-fil-A song. What is it called? Closed on Sunday?
Yeah.
That was cute.
They kind of dragging the album now. They're really, and he's supposed to come out with a movie. He partnered with IMAX, and it's supposed to be a Jesus is King movie.
I'm gonna go see it.
I know you are.
Tell us about it.
No doubt.
Tell us about
I have no doubt that you
Yana probably gonna go with me, but you know she uses it, so we'll go see it. We'll let y'all know.
Let's give us all the tomatoes.
Please do.
The tomatoes.
They're right tomatoes, girl.
No shade.
No shade. No shade. Yeah.
Well, listen, I mean, I can't follow that. Let us know what you think.
Yes.
Sorry.
Kanye.
Is it publicity? Is it a God?
Do you like the album?
Do you like the album?
Are you listening to it on your way to church?
Go listen to it and let us know. 'Cause I probably won't listen to it. I ain't gonna lie. Let us know what you
I
think
heard a
about
couple
it.
songs.
Did you? He said a couple
A
songs.
couple.
That means
And then I turned it off.
that part.
That part. Yeah.
But listen, we got a Kanye fan. We got and some semi-Kanye fans over here. And,
Yeah.
you know, let us
I
know
know
what you
y'all be
think.
rocking your Yeezys. Don't even front.
Oh, yes.
I can't afford Yeezys.
Y'all do.
My birthday coming up.
I'm not getting no Yeezys. That's what I'm not going to do. But anyway, like, subscribe, share, comment. Let us know what you think. Jesus, the feminization of black man.
Yes.
Tell us.
All the things.
We need the comments. Because,
Absolutely.
we like to talk. And again, like I always say, we like to talk with you, not to you. So let us know. Let us know what you think. Right now, we got
I'm doing my black light today on 2 black-owned businesses, black men.
Come on, man.
Men, strong men. So the first one we have is Strickland Electric. It's an electrical service from small wiring, fixed installation, state-of-the-art smart home automation. They do it all. You're looking to rewire your house, want to take your old wire system, put in some new work, whatever you need electrical wise, they have everything for you. You can follow them on Instagram at Strickland, that is STRICKLAND_electric, or visit them online at www.stricklandelectric.com. So
Awesome.
don't forget to check them out. And our second black light
Black light.
Black
The black light.
is on Dewitt Air and Heating Condition. This is your go-to for HVAC. Whether you need to replace your OAC or install a new unit, to commercial, residential property, they have everything that you need covered. They pride themselves on customer service, and they also give free estimates to AC installations and replacements. So if you're looking to get, your old system out the windows, get, some central air in the house, your heater's not working, whatever you got going on HVAC wise, there are people to go to. You can visit them on the website as well at www.dewitt, that is DEWITT, and on Instagram at Dewitt HVAC. Oh, I'm sorry, HVAC. That part. So check them out.
Yes. Get your free estimate, honey. Nothing better than free.
It is so crucial that we support our businesses, our black businesses. We could be doing so many other things. So
Right.
the fact that we have people out here making things work, getting HVACs together, and that's the time to get you might even get a deal because it's wintertime. So
Definitely winter
son,
time.
you want to get that old HVAC out and get a new one in, or get yours replaced. Probably now's the
To
time.
take the heat in that house, or if a lot of us are in the real estate now, you're looking for someone to partner with. They can do like electric service for all your properties and your HVAC. They also do commercial as well, so and residential. So check them both out.
Support.
Support.
So guys, that's it for episode 3.
Yeah.
So as always, like, subscribe, share.
Comment.
Yeah.
All the things. Tell your mama, your auntie, your sister, your cousin about us. Okay.
Everybody.
All that.
Bye.
That part. We love you guys. We'll see you next Thursday.
See ya.
Bye.
Beats by Low. Antwerp in this beat.